Hey, welcome back to Compliance Clips with your co-host Rick Morgan and me, John Farquhar. And today we have a wonderful guest. We have with us Vic Gupta of PRL. And to help us round out our final episode of the Telematics series, Vic is here to kind of talk to us on the insurance side of the telematics program. So, hey, Vic, thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm
Anytime,
doing
man.
well.
Good. Well, do us a favor. Give our audience a little background on who you are and who PRL is.
Sure. My name is Vic Gupta. I'm the national practice leader for transportation risks at Purvis Redmond Limited. Been with the company for a year and a half. I come from a background of transportation, agriculture, and 17 years in the industry, with 11 of those 17 in insurance. By trade, I'm an engineer, as well as went to the management school for my business degree. Um, PRL, as the name says, PRL is Purvis Redmond Limited. We are a Canadian national firm, and we have been around since 1959, so
Oh, wow.
65 years in business.
Yeah.
We insure companies in all sectors nationally. So it's been around for a long time, and we love trucking and transportation.
Cool. Cool. Now, who doesn't love trucking? I know I was talking to some friends on the weekend, and we were talking about transportation while having a couple of wobbly pops. And there was comment about how once it gets in your blood, it just doesn't get out. It just really has a problem there.
You mean
So,
it's kind of like a virus?
ooh, there's a good way to put it. Yeah, yeah. You just can't. There's no
You're
cure for it
infected.
by any
You're
means. Yes,
infected and you're done. Like
you're
that's
done.
it.
You're
There's
done.
no antidote.
Not going anywhere. So anyway, so cool. So awesome. Well, you've seen some of our previous episodes, and you've seen how we've kind of tackled telematics as a whole and drilled down in certain areas with some of our guest speakers. So we're kind of looking to round this all out with, let's bring the insurance side of the business into it. You've been one of the key players across the country here in the last few years with telematics and insurance, right? Trying to get that in. I would have to say you're probably one of the main players that I've heard speak and talk about bringing these two together and getting transportation companies to pay attention, listen, and buckle down and use what you're saying. So we want to kind of touch on some more of that today because I think it's really important. Everything we've talked about in the episodes prior to this one lead us to this episode where we need to talk about how we bring it together and why we bring it together with regards to your insurance providers.
Super. Absolutely, John and Rick. So telematics, as the name says, right, it is a teleinformation. So information which is flowing from the data and the telecommunication devices. One of the episodes I've heard from the Investor Forensic, there are more than 100 data sets being created each time, right? And whether or not your truck is attached to a telematic device or not, there is still a data being generated. So there is a risk. And you'll hear me talking and using few words as my industry is and my title is risk, ROI, and total cost of risk. And I will drill these down that what they really mean in this industry. So what insurance company is doing is they're collecting, not right now, but that's the purpose and that's the goal of collecting all those points. And I will share it in a slide. The whole ecosystem is being created and they are all coming together. And it is now the time for the industry as a transport carrier to capitalize on those tools, and what insurance company, which they are still reactive, they are looking to capitalize and leverage that data for accurate rating and for better risk management.
Right. Well, and the insurance world is, yeah, as you say, it's reactive, so it's been lagging behind, but it is catching up. It is paying attention. The insurance world is not one, that is quick to make a decision. We know that. We've been in that for a long time, Vic, you and I. But nonetheless, they pay attention and they're going, okay, how can we make this work? not only for our customers, but also for us as an insurance company in providing better premium rates, more realistic. We've heard the term UBI, user-based insurance, real-time stats, and that's where telematics comes in. This can make your life a whole lot easier.
Absolutely. I'll share a slide where it talks about the ecosystem quickly.
Sure.
And if you can see the slide, this is
Yep.
the whole ecosystem that Telematic has created, whether it is combined with compliance, safety, the fleet optimization, or the operational element. So all of what you are doing in terms of your WMS, your TMS, or your data being generated by multiple systems, now they're all coming towards in the middle, which is telematic ecosystem get created. And it's not just one item anymore. They used to be, yeah, I'm use ELG, I just use DVIR. They were utilized or used independent of each other. And now is the time to capitalize on it. Now,
Sure.
in US, insurance companies have gone much further than insurers in Canada. It also
Right.
has to do with some regulatory landscape,
Sure.
but more so is the size of the country and the number of users and the
Understandable.
size
So,
of the
yeah.
economy.
Yeah.
And we are finding that again, it's technology. It's going to flow north of the border as well, and it started in other parts of the world. So UBI, which is user-based insurance, is only possible based on the data which is generated by these devices real time. So my comment to transport companies of all sorts, not just for one trucking company who cross the border, is even if you're in Canada, you cross the border, this technology is revolutionizing the world right now, and your insurers are already reviewing it. Now, they may have told you or not, but it is coming anytime and very
Sure.
soon.
Big time. Big time. Well, and another reason to not be afraid of it, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Hours of service used through a telematics device, DVIR, driver vehicle inspection reports, all through a telematics device, fuel optimization, idling time, all through telematics information. And companies are embracing that to help them manage the bottom line. Why wouldn't you use this information to help your insurance company to help you manage your risks as well as your premium dollars?
And
Exactly.
as Doug Marcello pointed out, lawyers are also harvesting this information, and your insurance company is charged with defending against those lawyers. So if you're working with your insurer to provide them the information, you're only making yourself stronger, right, Vic?
Absolutely. Doug, really, if many of the you or the listeners here who have not seen Doug's interview and the podcast, I strongly suggest to watch that as well. It's very powerful and really dig down that what exactly is happening and what is attorney doing. And now, telematics for insurance, if you really see, it is the money behind. So who is paying the money? And being proactive with the use of technology is the best way. I tell companies that utilize it since you already have them in your hands, because you are being pushed by the government to have those tools now. But I tell that to everybody that there are tools available inbuilt with your telematics solution provider, where all you gotta do is ask your provider, I need this data. I need, tell me the fuel optimization, tell me my DVIR, tell me if you're linking your claims data. All that what your mind is thinking that an attorney could think to penalize you based on the historical data, it is already inbuilt into your artificial intelligence. So I'll share one more example very quickly, and that is I took this two slides from one of the chatbot of an actual very large telematic solution provider. And this is an example where, can I answer your query? So this is a chatbot that what you would see. So You can ask any question that you would like. What are my speeding exception? Who are my high risk drivers? You can define your own parameters. And if claims data, telematics data, which is your dash cam, ELD, if you have temperature sensors on your refrigerated trailers, or you have GPS tracking. Some companies also have their phones now linked
Hmm.
to the device, because that shows that how much time the dispatch called or somebody else called for the driver to be distracted. So all that could be in one single system. And if you see this particular slide, it shows that you can ask these questions, and this is the answer which a chatbot and the inbuilt artificial intelligence is giving you in a minute second. And this question being asked now, it is, what is my fuel economy per liter on per 100 kilometer?
Hmm.
Look at that. This gives you the data from 2022 and 2023, and it tells you a summary as well. So it's all about that, how company can utilize. It's the whole ecosystem which is now being drilled down to one single data set.
Hmm.
And we'll talk about aggregator in a couple of minutes, where one of the other presenters on compliance clips, which I really loved when he spoke. I'll speak about that, but I found transport companies must utilize and see this, because your attorney is watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think one of the problems that we have with some companies, transportation companies out there, is they're going, but I buy insurance so that they'll take the risk, the transfer of risk, we call it. Yeah, but they're only going to take so much. And if it's going to get out of hand, they're going to charge you some more. They're just going to charge you a bunch of money to make up the difference. So you've got to understand and pay attention what risk you're going to manage. Yes, I'm paying premiums, but at the same time, I don't need to pay outrageous premiums when I can better manage my risk. And better managing your risk is utilizing telematics.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
from what you were showing there, Vic, and listening to your conversation, I'm seeing where every carrier, regardless of size, who takes advantage of AI and your telematics, is like having an in-house Excel data analyst specialist who can instantly assess not just any one element, such as, what's my fuel consumption, but, what's my cost per mile? What's my operating cost per mile? What's my detention time? What's my, who are my best drivers? Who's performing the best? Who's having the hardest challenges? And all of that in turn feeds into what you and John were just talking about, which is your risk profile.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting part. I know a lot of companies that have been doing it in a manual fashion for years. You've got legacy companies out there that have been operating for over 50 years, and they'll go, "We've been managing our dollars from the beginning." Yes, you have. Now the telematics makes that easier for us. The AI simplifies it now. So instead of me asking my accounting person, can you run these numbers and get me this information? And 3 days later, they come back with the numbers you're looking for. I can do it in AI and have it in 3 minutes. So it really makes a big difference. And then now I've got a report. I can
Yeah.
provide that report to my insurance provider. I can provide that report to my lawyer as defense material. So there's so much better opportunity with the technology today than there was 40, 50 years ago when it wasn't in existence.
True, and I will share that how one more slide, because it's much easy for us to focus on that. If you can see the slide changed
Hmm.
to the how is telematics really transforming the insurance industry. So I'll go with all these five different columns that you see on the screen. So now you will be complementing your traditional way that you have always done in submitting your information at the time of renewal or sourcing a new policy. The traditional way of sourcing is very, very simple, that we have always done that. That insurers are realizing there is more to it, and companies, since there is data and technology, they can capitalize on that. So insurance companies are looking into getting that additional piece of information. it is painful for now, but it will streamline the future as
Sure.
well as give the accurate rating, right? So you get your IFTA, you get your radius of operation. It can also help you benchmark, and insurers can see that at the back end. Uh, this section where everybody is aware of 21B as a term, and 21B is your adjustment at the end of the term or whatever your arrangement is with your broker and your insurer, which could be done on a quarterly basis. It has been simplified rather than you taking a pen and paper or downloading that information from your system about the mileage or the number of units. It's has done in a very simplified fashion. The other one, which has been a big industry fraud, and I say that loud, is non-reporting of vehicles on the road,
Yep.
right? Again, tied to 21B. And if you can do that, then you are saving premium. However, there are some inbuilt risks to it. So
Yes.
with that telematics and the technology, when the insurers have the data from your system in the back end, they are tracking the VIN. They know which vehicle is on the road for
Yep.
what month. And then it not only help them, but also help you to pay actual premiums as well as take advantage of the technology in a little less painful fashion.
Yep.
The other is processing endorsements, your contracts, your insurance overall gets simplified. Risk engineering, which I also say loss control meetings.
Yep.
There could be a desk review even before a loss control person comes out. And that loss control person, if you give the access to that individual, you can show that the trends that you have been following, and is the company improving, deteriorating, what are the pain points and what are the data sets that a loss control person should look or they can recommend you to look. I've done that job for so many years, and I can tell you without technology, safer CVOR, cab reports, that's the only way the loss control person go very educated. Now complemented with this telematic information, it's very, very powerful too.
Well, and this is where it gives you an opportunity to really work closely with your insurance provider, right? So, an individual like yourself dealing with the risk aspect, when you get to look at that data and they're trying to do something with it, you can now come together and go, here's some ideas. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what works. Here's what doesn't work. And now they can go, we could implement a control in place. We could implement that procedure. Oh my God, look at those losses have disappeared, all in working together.
Exactly. And one more point is, as you mentioned, John, the losses and the claims. There is a word called FNOL, first notice of loss. This term has been around for a very long time. This has been utilized, but more on the insurer side in our own jargon to discuss rather than with the client. But now we are mentioning that with the telematics, this is also very possible that right after the crash happened, the crash patterns get determined, and your claims company, your TPA, third party adjuster, or the company that you're using, or your insurer itself can get the notice of the loss. So this we find is very powerful, that how technology or telematics is not just hitting one area, it is multiple areas which are being reviewed and adjusted by technology.
Well, and it's a huge partnership. I can't stress it enough. You know, Rick and I've both seen that.
Yeah, and you're going exactly down the same road I was, John. Like, kind of scary. We're thinking the same thing for the change, but you know, well, yeah, laddie, it's a wee bit confusing for everybody when we're in agreement. I know, but you know, you throw your mind back to when we did the Impact series, and in the finale there, where we had the insurance risk and the underwriters there, and we had the lawyers there, and the one thing we heard consistently from the folks who were there when you don't want them, but you need them because you've had that situation was, if you want to be successful in managing your risk, in managing your premiums, in managing and continuing to operate, your relationship with your insurance company should be one of a partnership and a joint venture. And we, we see quite often in our interactions, particularly with those carriers who are newer to or not haven't had the opportunity to really experience what the world is, that sometimes just because of the sheer amount of money that's going out for their risk, they're looking at their insurance provider not so much as a partner but as a really large expense. And there's a confusion about how to drive that down. Some people think the less I tell you, the better. But what we're seeing and what Vic's saying is we're going to know it all when we need to know it. So exactly. Let's hear it up front, and let's let us, who this is our business after all, tell you how you can be better, safer, and more economical, improve your margins, improve your ROI. Is that kind of what you're saying, Vic?
Absolutely. And that results with a total two things attached to it. What is your ROI as a trucking company? Because safety is an investment. It is not an expense.
All righty. So we're going to take a pause right there for a week. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our first part of our interview with Vic Gupta from PRL. Please be sure to join us for part 2, because we're really going to dig into what is happening in the insurance sphere with respect to telematics and what it's telling insurers, how you can build a best practice program, and how you can get discounts or pay penalties if you're not using the telematics devices and information to manage your program. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye. Compliance Clips is a joint production of Summit Risk Solutions and Links Consulting. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next release. Take care.